Hi guys, this is a re-record of a really old one, right? So we're going back to the start of October, and yes, I did do this one in one of the compilations, I think. I'm not quite sure. But this one came back. So this is just an example of a really bad scammer. So I want you to meet John Bon Jovi. I said, hi there, sorry I'm at work, so messages may be sporadic and late, because we'd met on Instagram, right? Well, okay, it's nice having you here, smiley face, smiley face. Hello, how are you? I said, sorry, you messaged at 1:30 a.m. Oh, sorry, good night, Julianne. I said, no, it's almost 4 a.m. now. I'm up, relaxing before work. I was just saying that is why I didn't respond initially. Oh, okay, I can understand. Have you taken your morning coffee? I said, I'm drinking one now. Why do you ask? I wished I can just accompany you to work so I can come enjoy the lovely moment with you, LOL, laughing emoji. I always take mine here, he nonsensically adds. I said, what lovely moment? How old are you, he says, ignoring that. I said, what lovely moment? When I get to work. Really? I'm glad I can make you happy while working. How old are you, he said. I said, you're not making any sense. I'm 44 and I'm not at work at the moment. Really? Why say that? What are you talking at the moment? You're getting me confused, said our scammer. Yes, kitty cat. So I pointed up to his, really, I'm glad I can make you happy. I said, this did not make any sense. And around getting him confused, I said, perhaps read what I write. This might help you. I just want to make you smile. I'm sorry I said that to you. Text me more about you. I need to know. I said, you don't need to know anything. What would you like to know specifically? Have you been a victim of scammers? He says. I said, no, never. They're ridiculously easy to spot right from the start. I know people who have, though. Why do you ask? I'm just curious as to the fact I receive lots of reports, but if you say so, tell me how you spit them. I said, I don't know. They just stand out. Maybe it's the atrocious English, who knows? And they are really lazy, it just shows. And how many reports and what kind of scams? I asked him. So he ignored me. Hello, how you doing? Working? He asks. I said, I just got home. It's been a long day. Sounds great. It's a beautiful day outside today. What have you been up to lately? So I said, work, the usual. Our weather's rainy and awful. Oh, I see. How is the weather condition? Said the man not reading my chats. I have missed chatting with you, friend. I said, the time difference makes it difficult. Yes, it does. How are you doing today? Excuse the bloody cat. I said, good, busy as usual, which is good, and glad it's Thursday. Same here, he says. Can I have a picture of you if you don't mind? I said, I don't send photos online, sorry, not until I know someone. Well, I must say that I'm pushed to say I'm glad, pleased by the confidence you have to me, and I must concern myself with whatever concerns you. Where are you at this moment? I said, sorry, what? I said, at work, I told you. Oh, sorry, I forgot. I said, and question mark to that nonsensical, I'm pushed to say I'm glad, pleased by the confidence you give me. And he goes, I know I'm a very busy man. It comes with the profession, but my fans are dear to my heart. This is the reason I take out time to write. I said, okay. You understand? How was work today, he says. Mind you, at lunchtime. I said, it's 12:30. I'm still at work. Are you still at work, he asks, at 6 o'clock that night. I'm a little bit exhausted now, says our scammer. I said, no, I've been home for a couple of hours. Why are you exhausted? Working so hard. I said, doing what? He goes, studying. I have so much. He completely forgot. I said, studying what? I thought you guys were touring soon. Yeah, he says. I said, and pointed up to where it said studying. I'm about to release 15 studio albums. Are you married? I said, you're still not answering the question. That isn't a conversation if you just ignore all my questions and just ask your own. It'll become very tedious very quickly. And 15 all at once around releasing 15 studio albums. I hope my questions are not harsh to you, he says. And yeah, around 15 studio albums all at once. I said, no, I'm saying you don't answer questions and I have to keep asking and then you return with nonsense. And how are you releasing 15 albums at once? And you're studying? I'm starting to think that this is weird. Oh, he says, talk to you later, and runs away. I said, yes, run away. Typical. You guys all do that when you can't answer a question. Goodbye. Bye for now, said our oblivious, idiotic scammer. I said, yeah, I'm not a client who will remit, so run away. This short period of knowing you, he sends a sad face and ignoring the client part. I said, yes, very sad, blah, blah, blah. You're just not dedicated enough to make this hustle work. If you don't work, the client will not pay and you're lazy. Goodbye, John Bon Jovi. All right, so the next day, I came back to let you know. No, and I wasn't the only N-word you was effing with. Wonder where you've been, who you've been with. And there is our real scammer, everyone, making his appearance. So I sent lots of laughing emojis. I said, someone's pissed they got baited, all that time wasted when there are people to scam. Love it. I said, you're a little village boy. So he vanishes. And that was on the 7th of October, everyone. Yesterday. Hey! I said, what do you want? Have missed chatting with you. I said, no, you didn't. It's just been a quiet night for you and you're bored. Ha ha, he said. Stop kidding. Laughing emoji. I said, yes, ha ha, I'm not kidding. How are you doing, he asks. I said, not a successful day, huh? We're not friends, dude. Read back the chat. I'm not chilling with scammers. Sorry, just being honest. Why? What would be my gain trying to act like who am not? The usual excuse for all scammers. I said, oh, for F's sake. Going away for ages after being busted as a fake does not mean that you can crawl back and think I've forgotten or not read back the chat. You're ridiculous. Read the chat back, dude. I want to walk a bit and I will be back soon if you'll still be up, he said. 9:20 Australian time, which would have been quite late in the evening Nigerian time. I said, like I care what you do, mate. I'm trying to be nice here, not pretending. You take my kindness for granted. If you be up now, I will be back in less than an hour. Right? And I didn't respond. And I hope we can catch up soon and we can get to know each other even more. I said, you're deluded. Right? And he sent me a photo. Right? And then he's deleted it. Can you send me a picture? You there? Let me see if I kept the photo. Oh, yes. So he sends me this one. Right? Thinking that would be enough to convince me. Right? So I said, you wish that was you. Read back the chat. We already know you're a scammer, mate. This is just a little pathetic now, right? So he's left it at that yesterday. I doubt he'll come back. That's Woody Harrelson messaging me, guys. Wow, he's really hitting it hard. So I guess we'll have a Woody video. Have a great day, guys. Subscribe. Bye.